This Jocks 94.5 podcast is brought to you by Millennium Satellite and Video. Log on to msbnow.com. TV excellence everywhere. That's Millennium. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning starts now.
7 o'clock here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Greg and Cole out today. Cole back with you tomorrow. G-Mac out rest of the week. Damian and John here with you. Hopefully you've got some hydration because it's going to be a hot one this week. If you hadn't got a chance to listen to Morning Jocks from 6 to 7, I started the morning off with a little bit of some college football and one NFL hot take going into the 2026 season and having some conversation on that. Also, we have David Waters from Gators Breakdown, kind of discuss Florida and kind of, give us a little bit of an early preview, early breakdown as we're getting, closer to SEC Media Days, which is pretty much the unofficial kickoff to the college football season. Want to know what it's like now with John Summerall being the head coach and just what the expectations are for the Gators moving forward. Also, Roddy Nabulsi coming up in the third hour discussing the Georgia Bulldogs, because I do think that a lot of people, at least from what I've seen, that, Georgia is not necessarily rinse and repeat. I think a lot of people think Georgia's going to be pretty good, but now it's just there's a little bit more unknown, especially on the offensive side. I want to get kind of his thoughts on where Georgia is going into 2026. Also want to hear from you guys, 205-834-9450. Your calls, your texts, always welcome here on the show. But kind of going back to some of the hot takes that I had this morning for the college football season in 2026. I had that, the Heisman Trophy winner will not be a transfer, kind of setting a different trend from what we've seen the past 4 seasons with transfers being the Heisman Trophy winner, 3 of those being quarterback transfers that, didn't do anything, not necessarily didn't do anything, but had found greater success at their newer school as opposed to their previous school. I had both Auburn and Alabama will be undefeated at home, which is one I feel confident in that. Maybe it's the Alabama heat and humidity getting to me, but one, I have high expectations for Alabama because I don't live in this revisionist history of how good Alabama's season was in 2025. And again, I'm not, I guess because I don't bleed crimson, I don't understand how you could look at 2025 season as a quote unquote failure. Which again, I don't think it's a bad thing. If the expectation is national championship, yeah, you lean into it. If you think it was a failure, that's where I think it's a little dicey. You could just say that maybe the wording of it is a little bit off to me. I still think the season was a success because you did all of these things. You accomplished all of these things in spite of not being able to consistently run the football. Had some inconsistencies at the running game, the offensive line. Ryan Coleman-Williams ends up having a sophomore slump. But to me, you got the development of Latsier Brooks, who a guy that we heard all fall camp that Kalen DeBoer was extremely high on going into the season. And it was, hey, if we can get him going, that's another piece that we can have on that offense. And I do think that Xavier Crowell coming in as a true freshman can make a difference. But you still got a pretty solid running back room. Are they all like built of the Najee Harris's, the Josh Jacobs crew or things like that, Trent Richardson, Mark Ingram? Maybe not. But I do think that you have a good bevy of running backs that, hey, if the offensive line can get that push, you're going to be feeling pretty good going into the season. Now, of course, the quarterback position is extremely important. But you know what? You went into the last season with a pretty much new starter at the quarterback position, and you still had success in 2025. So I think that all in all, it's hard not to feel pretty confident about what Alabama could potentially do. And then for Auburn, it's completely new. Everything. You strip it down, new regime, new everything. But also, it's the continuation now at a higher level with everything that you saw at USF for Byron Brown and Alex Golish and those guys. So I think that, we're going to feel this thing out. And listen, it is early on. We're in the off season. The only thing we can really do is project, but we're getting that itch. Like everybody's kind of feeling, the heat starting to get to us. And it's like, man, we can't wait till college football season gets here. But I look at both Auburn and Alabama and being very similar situations because there are just so many unknowns. Because who's to say that Byron Brown, maybe it doesn't translate. Maybe he had the successful season that he had last year in 2025 because he was playing in the American. But also you can look on the other side of saying, hey, if he brings that to the SEC, we're going to be cooking with hot grease. And you retain DJ Durkin on the defensive side. Xavier Atkins, a guy that not really a lot of people were talking about going into the season, ends up being one of the best linebackers in college football. You got him. Yeah, you lost some in the portal. But I think that for Auburn, now with you scrubbed everything clean, you kind of give not necessarily the benefit of the doubt, but you kind of go in it with clear eyes. And it's just like, hey, whatever happens in year one for Alex Golesh, it's hard not to think he won't have success because everywhere he's gone, he's turned things around and it's been quick.
So do you think, not to the postseason level of success, but do you think this could be a Gus Malzahn 2.0 kind of year? I'm not saying they go undefeated and all like that, but more so be all of a sudden a contender in the SEC seemingly out of nowhere.
Not confidently. I can't 100% say. Like, I still think they're a step away from Georgia. I still think they're a step away from Alabama. I still think they're a ways away from Texas, Ole Miss, because some of the question marks for Auburn I don't necessarily have for a lot of those other teams, where it's more of a, all right, they've established what their culture and what their standards already is, if that makes sense. Like, I think for Auburn, it's more of a week by week, let's build it out. Because I thought about this going into last season with all the question marks that, like, I assumed, and maybe there's egg on my face, but I assumed that Jackson Arnold was going to work. I really did. I in my heart of heart, I was debating it, but once I got to the season and once I saw Baylor, I was like, okay, if Auburn can stick with this game plan, they're going to be fine. Don't ask Jackson Arnold to go out there and be, and air raid this thing up. Nope. If they're going to present the box very extremely light, Auburn should run for 400 yards a game. And as the week started progress, it was, okay, Auburn's running a bunch of RPOs, and I don't know if Jackson's reading it right or if he's holding on to the ball. Is he thinking too much? Because then I started going back to 2023, 2024 of like, man, Peyton Thorne actually was doing a little bit more than I thought. Like, he's going to the line thinking. And anytime that you play sports, anything, once you start to think, the game starts to speed up, and everything you're rushed in the decision makings, or you're indecisive. And once that happens, you're through. Like, you're absolutely cooked. Because it was hard for me to fathom last season for Auburn with the collection of talent that you had, with the Eric Singletons, with Cam Coleman's, with the running back room that you had with Jeremiah Cobb, who ended up developing into one of the better backs in the conference. It was, why is the offense being the Achilles heel for the third year in a row? Because it seems like the defense knows exactly what's going on. Like, they're like, man, could y'all give us something? And going back to that Georgia matchup and how backbreaking it was when the fumble happened on the goal line, and just like the between the ears for Auburn was the problem. Because once they realized that, man, we're finding ourselves in these positions game in and game out, we still can't rise above just the mistakes. You go back to Texas A&M. Texas A&M was drawing up all types of exotic blitzes, but also because those, instead of being in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, you were in 3rd and 11s, 3rd and 13s. You were in 3rd and longs, which was playing right into Texas A&M's wheelhouse, and they were that's why you get sacked 10 times in a game. Oklahoma, you let the pass interference. Now, that game was a little tricky because you basically made John Mateer beat you, and he did. Now, did he do that for the rest of the season? Absolutely not. But that was the one game where it's like, hey, you're not going to be able to run the ball, so you better find a way to throw it. And that's exactly what he did. But there were just time. There were so many examples last season where Auburn, and credit to Hugh Freeze, he talked about it at just about every press conference. Oh, we're so close. Well, he wasn't wrong. Like, that's the crazy part, is he wasn't lying. but also you're the head coach, so you've got to tap into your team to rise above all of these things. Don't just keep coming after, week 3, week 4, week 5 saying, oh, we're so close. Eventually you got to get over that. You have to. In Arkansas, you got that win on the road, but I mean, Arkansas wasn't a good football team. And then Vanderbilt, after Hugh Freeze was fired, DJ Durkin steps in. This is his first game as a head coach. He's just like, man, listen, the season's already been cooked. Just give me everything you got. And
all of a sudden the offense shows up.
Come on now. And Ashton Daniels of all people. And there's just so many things last season that if Auburn can correct those things, they're going to have success. And I think Alex Golesh, to me, he's a coach that fits that. Like, he is, listen, we are going to play this way. This is how it's going to go. I will take everything. I will accept it. I will fall on the sword for this team. But I've got to have 11 on offense. I got to have 11 on defense. I got to have 11 on special teams that are going to give everything they possibly have, and we live and die with the results. We're not going to be having these conversations saying, oh, we're so close. No, we're going to find ways to get it done. Simple as that. And if you can't, we're going to put in the best 11 that we have to figure it out. So I think all in all, with Auburn, yes, you're going to need Byron Brown to click. I don't really care what happens in the spring. Okay, he threw 2 interceptions in the spring game. So be it. By God, when you watch him in a regular live seat, like in a live action football game, that brother, it can play. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. You can't chisel a quarterback that looks like that. And the closest one you had was Cam Newton. I'm not saying he's going to put up Cam Newton type numbers, but as far as the feel of what it could potentially be, is up to that level. And I look at Alabama in a very unique fashion as well, because I think the only thing that was stopping them was consistency in the run game. Because, okay, yeah, like they ran into Indiana. Even if you had a consistent run game, I don't think anybody was beating Indiana last year, and they proved it. Like, no, we built different. Kirk Cignetti, his DNA was all over that program. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. Like, he basically said, hey, 2024, we were filling it out. And he had Curtis Rourke in Indiana led into a playoff game, and he knew he was missing a few Jimmies and Joes against Notre Dame. It's like, hey, we ain't there, but we about to be there. And that's when 2025 happened. He got his guys from James Madison, got some old heads. And was like, hey, y'all know what ball we play. Go out there and leave it all out there. And they were the best team in college football. But I do think that when you look at 2025 for both Alabama and Auburn, you can say in a lot of situations they were close. So in 2026, it's hard not to think that they're going to overcome a lot of these things because, okay, now you went into 2025 with a new quarterback. You're going into 2026 with a new quarterback. But the benefit is these two guys have been in the system. Austin Mack has been there for a while. Kalen DeBoer is his guy. He's been rocking with him ever since he's been at Washington. Keelan Russell came in as a freshman last season. When he was asked to go out there and play, he played well. Now, was it a lot of mop-up duty? 1,000%. But you saw there were some things in his game of like, hey, when his time comes, he's going to be nice. So I think that, okay, you iron out some things on the offensive line. You iron out some things as far as getting consistent play from your receiving core. You don't have Jeremy Bernard, but you got to find that number one guy. Maybe Ryan Williams comes back to reality if he remembers who he is, goes out there and performs, and you still got the development of Latsier Brooks. I think Sadarian Morgan. If you can give me a 6'3", 215-pound freshman as a number 3 guy, his development is going to be absolutely phenomenal because I think he's going to be a bona fide superstar in years to come. But you're getting him at a young age. Like, I think that this Alabama offense could potentially look like it did for Kalen DeBoer when he was at Washington with Michael Penix Jr., Roma Dunze, Polk, and those guys, where we're going to take what the defense gives us, and no matter how you slice it up, we're going to have an answer for it. Now, it comes down to decision-making at the quarterback position, but I think the guys, whether it's Austin Mack or Keelan Russell, they know. They're like, okay, now I see why he's giving us the keys. Now, and even looking back to last season, now I see why Ty had to do all these things because, dang, we couldn't run the football at all. And defensively, you're year 3 with Kane Womack. The experience that you have in that secondary is going to be absolutely it is. I can't stress to you the importance of being able to disguise things in coverage because Now all I got to do is make a call, and all 4 or 5 of these guys know exactly what to do. Whether they line up in a certain position, and then at the snap of the ball, boom, they're in a different spot. They show me a too-high shell, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's one safety back there. They have a lot of mind games they can play defensively. Now, I do think defensive line and linebackers, yeah, you're missing guys from last year, but I think that as long as these guys have been in the system, they know what the expectation level is as far as being able to know what their job is and to do it at a high level. So to me, for both Auburn and Alabama, there are a bunch of reasons to be optimistic going into 2026, which is why I said that both teams will be undefeated at home. And yes, we know what the schedule entails for both of them, but there's going to be some fork in the road games. There's going to be some, all right, now it's time to drop them and see what you're made of. And I think for Auburn, you get that test early, week 3. And for Alabama, for pride's sake, I would say Florida State is a big home matchup just because of what happened last year. But you are a better football team.
That is true.
You are a better football team. If you think I find it hard to believe that Mike Norvell is going to give the keys to Ashton Daniels and tell him that he's going to walk into Bryant Denny and do the exact same thing that Tommy Castellanos did to Alabama last season. No offense to Ashton Daniels, but I saw what he looked like in the Iron Bowl. When the play started to break down, it's why are you hesitating? Like there was a bunch of throw it on the wall and see if it sticks in that game, and you were in a dogfight. But now you're gonna have to put that thing together because this team is a little bit more experienced than what you're going with in the first game of the season last year. So we'll continue with I go back over the list of some of my hot takes on the other side. Get some of your reaction. 205-834-9450. Let's continue on here on Mac and Cube in the morning.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, 3-man front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.
7:20 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian and John here with you. Greg and Cole. Well, Cole back tomorrow. Greg out the rest of the week. 205-834-9450. Your calls, your text messages, always welcome here on the show. Let me tell you about Alabama heat and humidity. It can be absolutely brutal, but don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. Recognized as America's most trusted brand, 12 consecutive years. You can rely on a Trane. Find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com. So we had a conversation during Morning Jocks, and I was talking about some of the hot takes that I have this season, and I got a chance to talk about, Heisman Trophy winner won't be a transfer. Both Auburn and Alabama will be unbeaten at home. Number 3 for me, I had Texas A&M defeating Texas. And
you thinking about taking it back?
No, I don't want to
put your faith in Marcel Reed.
Right. That's the hard part because.
Well, here's the thing. Like you chose to do it. It's not like
someone
made you.
No, I'm right there. But it's hard because unlike a former Texas A&M quarterback after Johnny Manziel, he's actually shown me great football.
Like, Haynes King. Okay, yeah, that's not wrong. Yeah,
he did it in Georgia Tech uniform.
Oh, true. Yeah,
he did that in Georgia Tech uniform. But like Marcel Reed, it is so hard because I gave him, like, I was hesitant all season long. Last season, I was like, he cooked Notre Dame. He did. He played absolutely out of his mind. And when his team needed him early on, I was like, man, something's going to give. And right when I started to believe in him, Texas happened. And I'm sitting there like, okay, now you've been cooking for 11, but it was the last 2 games. The most, like, with everything on the line, the last 2 games. Because when you look at, even going back looking at, okay, the way they handled Notre Dame, LSU was not who we thought LSU was. That was abysmal. Also, Missouri had come to reality by the time Texas A&M had matched up with them. But the thing with Marcel Reed last season was every time, and even going back to Arkansas too, where Arkansas defensively, Marcel Reed probably, had he not lost to Texas, he probably could have won the Heisman just off that game, even though Arkansas was absolutely abysmal on defense. But the thing with Texas A&M, I had started to believe so highly on their defense that it doesn't even matter what the offense does, that the defense is going to keep them in the ball game.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't sold too much on Arch because he was very similar to Marcel Reed. It was so yin and yang. But when Texas needed him to step up and make the plays, he did. And it just came later on in the season. But I thought the test that they had at Mississippi State, it showed that Texas was flawed. Going on the road against Kentucky, which there's a reason why they fired Mark Stoops, and it was like, okay, well, yeah, they're definitely going in a different direction. But yet they kept playing with their food. And I thought going into the matchup with Texas A&M that Texas had ran out of its luck. Like, it was just, nah, they ain't going to get it done. Texas A&M is the actual better football team, no matter how you line it up. And yet Texas still found a way to win that ball game. Whereas this season, it's hard for me to think that if all things go right for Texas A&M, you still can't convince me that they're not better than Texas at this moment. Even on paper, with all the talent that Texas has, they had a bunch of talent last year, had a bunch of talent in 2024, but Texas A&M has started to hit that ascend button where I have to stop looking at them through the lenses I've looked at them for the past decade. But then you have moments like Texas and Miami of, okay, they are exactly who we think they are. And it's at some point they've got to get over that. And I think 2026 is a pivotal year for all of them because now you've gotten the taste of it. I don't want them to find themselves in a situation like Tennessee is now, where it's, we've seen this team play at their peak. They've gone to the college football playoff, and now that becomes the expectation, and it slowly starts to dwindle down. But the benefit that you have is that you have so much continuity with Reuben Owens, with Bethel Roman, with Mario Craver, with Marcel Reed. That defense, the structure in which Mike Elko has it, it's so hard to think that they won't be able to at least come close to replicating what they had last season. And if the only obstacle that's stopping you from getting that is your rival, that is more mental than it is physical.
Even if their rival is a national championship contender.
But that's where Texas A&M is now. Like, that's the conversation. This is I'm trying to think of a way to describe this. Like, now that you found a way to sneak into the club, and now you see what happens in the club. And that's how I look at Texas A&M of, okay, this is what you've wanted for so long. You've gotten the taste of it. Stay here. Like, ain't nobody's really trying to kick you out except for Texas. Like, they're the only ones that, they're in here, but also it's because they know the owner. But they hadn't really been doing too much as far as consistently college football playoff or national championship contention. But the brand is strong. The brand is absolutely strong. So it's like, man, I really want to see what it's like in that club. And then when you get in there, it's not as fun as I thought it was. So now and that's the thing with Texas. It's realistically, when you look at the entire Texas run, I guess you would say, even when they were in the Big 12, the brand is stronger than the production. Like, we can talk, it's almost year after year after year. We laughed at Sam Ehlinger when they beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, and he was like, yeah, we're back. But you're not. Like, what are you back to? Because you haven't consistently shown that you're in this conversation year in and year out. The name and the raw, the glitz and the glamour, yeah, it's phenomenal. Texas A&M has done it the rugged way, but yet they still don't measure up. That's the hardest part for me, but that's why I look at this year in 2026 of saying, man, if you're going to get them, it is now or we are never going to have this conversation again, because it doesn't even matter if Texas is in college football playoff contention, conference championship contention. Y'all still can't stop them from getting there when you have the tools finally. But now in 2026, when I look at it, it's how can you not now? Like, how can this not still be possible? How can you still find the way to blow it against the one thing that's stopping you from really achieving true success?
So you're going all in on them this year then. It's a ride or die with them. If for whatever reason they don't get it done, you're done with them forever. because you're finally having faith and they put egg on your face once before, and so now you're just ready to fully write them off.
And the thing is, like, I don't want to, because if Mike Elko was anywhere else, I would have a conversation of him being coach of the year every single year. I can see why every single player on Texas A&M's roster gives their all for Mike Elko, because that dude can straight up coach some football. He's just got the demeanor. He's got the attitude. He's like, bro, I ain't got time for all this stuff. I'm trying to build Texas A&M into the program I know it can be. But also, it's just that brand in Austin, Texas that is right there in your face of saying, but you still can't be with us. And it's so hard because Texas hadn't done anything on a consistent basis. They have the little blip on the radar where it's, like Sark got them to the college football playoff when they were in the Big 12. They end up losing to Washington. And even in the SEC, you knock off Clemson and you lock off Arizona State. And then you run into the eventual national champions in Ohio State, which you probably gave them, outside of Notre Dame, you probably gave them the best shot, the best chance of the best fight out of anybody when they lost to Michigan early on. So, but it wasn't the final game of the season, but that's with a different story. But I think that Texas A&M's breakthrough has to be 2026, because now you're not going into first-year starter Marcel Reed. You're going to SEC veteran Marcel Reed. And I know Colin Klein being gone, an offensive coordinator, going into a new system, but it's okay. Can we get consistent Marcel Reed week in and week out? And if you do, your defense should still be good enough to keep you within ball games, if not win these ball games, as long as you can avoid those. It's very similar to John Mateer at Oklahoma, because Oklahoma's defense was never the issue. It was the lack of run game and John Mateer trying to play hero ball every single snap of the football. Whereas Marcel Reed, it's, oh no, my back is against the wall. Instead of rising above, he found ways to make situations worse. Like, think about the first half against South Carolina. And at that point, South Carolina was just playing for pride. Lenore Sellers, we've seen the highs, we've seen the lows, and he was riding on a heater. And Texas A&M messed around there and was getting beat, 27-3?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And then the second half, it's, oh my God, this is the college football playoff contending team that we have been needing to see. Why did it take you a half to get there? And again, I know it's a long season, but every single challenge that you had seen up until that point, you were knocking it out the park. And now it's, okay, well, how much of that second half did that parlay into the mental side of playing Texas across the way from you in the final game of the season?
So you're telling me that even if Texas A&M lives up to expectation, does everything, they have the team that you think can compete, but they lose to a top 10 Alabama team and a college football playoff semifinalist in Texas, they go 10-2 this season, lose to two teams that are, say, in the final six of the college football playoff, that they still hadn't done enough. Because you said they got to get past Texas, and it seems like Texas A&M has maybe not their best team ever, but at least their strongest team to be able to contend. Well, so does Texas. Texas has had a second-year starter who's finally gotten in, and Texas also has some transfers, especially at wide receiver, even though they still have a good wide receiver already, just like A&M does. So if they're allegedly still looking up at Texas, is it A&M's fault that it seems like Texas just built a once-in-a-generational team that Texas A&M just this year couldn't get past? Because you were saying, like, everything was on the line and you lost to your rival. Well, you lost to a pretty dang good Texas team, if it were to be the case.
It's just, at what point do we do, and again, it fair or unfair, at what point do we stop setting expectations for Texas A&M then? Because if that is the case, then they'll never achieve it. Because we've seen, even before Texas came into the SEC, they had Johnny Manziel for 2 years. They had the COVID year where it's like, oh, yeah, we lost to Alabama. You lost to them by, 19, 21 points, and you said you wanted them again. No, we had seen that matchup. You weren't there. You weren't there. But at some point, where does the expectation meet the reality of, okay, if Texas A&M is going to be in the conversation of consistent CFP contender, consistent potential conference championship contender, at one point do you stop being a contender and to actual be in the games? Like, when do you get to this point of, no, like Texas A&M is going to Atlanta because you had it all right there, and the one team that stopped you, you took a pause because y'all went to separate conferences, but it's still there. Like, it's just, you can't escape it. And I think it's
because you don't feel this way about Ohio State. They couldn't get past Ryan Day, couldn't get past Michigan.
That is true, but yet they still overcame and won a national championship.
Right.
Texas A&M,
right? They haven't yet, but
that's why I'm saying, like, that's why I feel as though 2026 is that time. Like, that's why I feel the way about this team. It's, man, this.
So you got to win. You either got to beat Texas or win a national championship.
That's the conversation you're in now.
Whew. Wow. Okay. Whew.
Because that
feels like it's asking a lot.
But again, it's the same. To me, it's very similar to the way everybody looks at Lane Kiffin. It's now all of a sudden LSU is a national championship contender when Lane has never done this. And the team that he had last season, he left them. He left, like, it's what are the realistic expectations on a year in and year out basis? Because again, like going back to Tennessee 2 years ago, we had seen him go 10-2 in 2022, a little bit of drop off with Joe Milton, and then Nico comes in at quarterback, and they still found a way. They found a way to get to the college football playoff. But it's now we're starting to hear rumblings of people are unhappy with Josh Heupel when he is taking you to heights you've never seen, like you haven't seen in years. Where Mike Elko is at Texas A&M, he's taken them to heights that they've never seen. Now they've had the talent that's been there for years past, but now the collection finally gets it together, and the only thing stopping you is Big Brother. It's, man, at some point you have got to cross that threshold, which is why I think 2026 is that year. It has to be. It just has to be. 205-834-9450. We'll discuss more on the other side. Keep it locked right here on Mac and Cube in the morning.
The capital of the sports talk nation. This is Jocks 94.5 and JocksFM.com. Birmingham.
7:39 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian and John here with you. Your text message, your calls always welcome. 205-834-9450. John Mack, resident Texas A&M Aggie, alum, and loves his Aggies. He says, nothing you just said, Damian, is wrong. That's exactly what it is around here. You have to beat Texas and win a national championship in the next 3 years.
Why?
It's
I mean, you ain't done it in 30 or 300 years. Like, why does it have to be now?
Because I think that's when people will take you serious. Like, I think that's my biggest. That's my only, I guess, issue with Texas A&M. It's when people start to take you serious. Missouri's a great example. So before the SEC scrapped the divisions, and we saw Eli Drinkwitz stack those back-to-back 10-win seasons. And then you remember the couple months ago, we went through that practice of like, okay, well, Missouri hadn't really punched above their weight class. It was kind of, this is the schedule that we've had the past couple seasons, and we can't help it. Kentucky hadn't been good. We can't help it that, hey, we got Tennessee when they were kind of figuring it out, but they hadn't beaten Georgia, hadn't beaten Alabama, hadn't really been in a ball game with any of those teams. And even when they crossed over in the West, like they weren't beating the LSUs at consistent basis. Like it was, okay, there's a little bit of fool's gold. And I think that's what Texas A&M has to avoid in 2026 of, all right, yeah, you could go on the road in South Bend and beat beat Notre Dame, a team that just played for a national championship, and go through the whole SEC slate unbeaten, handle business. And then when you meet up with Texas, it's, why have the brain fart now? Like, this is the most, everything was right in front of you and you dwindled it away. Now you still ended up in the college football playoff, and yeah, in hindsight, maybe Miami was a little bit better. They could match you at the game in which you wanted to play. Like their defense was their calling card. Texas A&M's defense was their calling card. Which offense was going to find a way to make an explosive play happen? Now, again, you can only control what you can control. But when the wind gusts are up, 20 something miles an hour, you line up a field goal and it goes wide left because it is what it is. Like that's just kind of things that you got to take into account.
And that's on them. They chose not to build a dome.
Right.
Like you could have easily had a dome.
So it's
not playing the elements.
It's just kind of like, man, when can we finally take them serious? And that's the frustrating part because I want to. Mike Elko has almost won me over of saying like I got to start giving Texas A&M the credit they deserve. It's just now you've got to press through that.
I go maybe that's the difference in not you but the royal you. Like you're choosing to have faith in them, hoping you don't get disappointed, but ultimately get disappointed. Where I guess I'm over here as they have yet to show me that they can, so I'm not going to have faith in them until that they do.
Yeah,
I think Mike Elko is a great coach,
Wonderful.
And I'm pretty sure that they probably will get over the hump, but I'm not willing to plant my flag down and say, yes, they absolutely will, because they have yet to.
Yeah.
And this is maybe they're in an Indiana situation right now because nobody believed Indiana or Kurt Signetti when he got there. He just had to put in the work, and okay, now people believe him. Well, most people, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe half, if not slightly more, of the college football world out there thinks Indiana at least will take a step back. I mean, I don't think anyone expects Indiana to repeat.
Yeah.
But even if Indiana has Texas A&M's year, Texas A&M's 2025 year, I think people are like, hey, that's still pretty good. Like you show that you probably can stay at this level. Are you at a national championship winning every year level? Okay, no, but we didn't think that. But if you're a playoff every year level, okay, that's a heck of a lot better than we expected out of you. So maybe we shouldn't have that expectation of Texas A&M because they have yet to do it. And we keep thinking that they do. You keep hoping that they do. It's almost like you keep going to that one restaurant. You had a good meal one time, and the ownership changed, and it ain't been right since. Well, I'm gonna keep going back and hoping that things will be right. And there's no fingernails in my food. Someone left a Band-Aid.
Okay, so just looking at the SEC as a whole, if we were going tier level, who is in tier 1 of the SEC right now?
I would say for sure Georgia and Texas.
See, and that's the thing. Texas.
I don't know if Alabama's in there, but I'm not willing to put LSU there. I think they have the talent probably, but again with Lane, it's more. I haven't seen him do it, so I'm not willing to give him that stamp.
See, that's where I am. Okay. Georgia, I understand. See, Texas is probably I think Texas and Texas A&M, like those two, like it's hard for me to separate because Sark is very Lane Kiffin like because of the fact that we've seen Sark, for example, last season. So it's hard for me to say that Texas is tier 1 if we're just strictly talking about the collection of talent that he has. I don't disagree with you there, but he had national championship level talent last season and still fell short, whereas Texas A&M maybe not on paper had the talent, but they went out there and handled their business, unlike Texas, because Texas went on the road. They lost to Florida. They were in a dogfight with Kentucky, with Mississippi State, with better players than they had. So why does Sark get the benefit of the doubt, but Texas A&M doesn't?
Because I've seen Sark win in the postseason.
Okay.
I know that's the difference. You said he's Lane Kiffin like. Well, Lane hasn't won a postseason game. I know Sark is capable of doing it at Texas. I've seen him do it. They made the semifinals a couple of years ago when they ran into the eventual national champ in Ohio State. And last year, a dumb loss to Florida kept you out, but because they didn't make the playoff last year, I'm not willing to I'm not willing to write him off.
Yeah.
I know that they're capable of it.
So what is stopping Ole Miss from being tier 1?
Because I don't know for sure, because I know that Pete Golding can win in the postseason. I don't know if he has the team this year to do it. I know they have probably the best quarterback in the SEC.
Yeah.
That's good. But they don't have the play caller that Trinidad Chambliss has had during his success.
True.
So they should be. Now they're tier like 2 point, or probably like tier point 1.99.
Yeah.
It rounds up to 2.
Yeah.
But I think they're a top 5 team.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not willing to say tier 1 is, if not for sure winning the conference, like losing the championship game. And I don't have Ole Miss there, and I don't think you do either, despite your fandom. I still think, reasonably looking at it, I don't think you're willing to put, especially roster-wise, I don't think Ole Miss is ahead of Texas and Georgia. They may be overall right at it, maybe.
Right.
But they're definitely not ahead. So they're not. That's why I probably wouldn't put them in tier 1, because then at that point I'm looking at coaching, and I ain't putting Pete in front of Kirby. And
He beat him.
And one time, that just happens, man. Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame. We ain't going to put what's his name in front of them. So, yeah, that ain't happening.
No, but I do think it's an interesting conversation. But I think that's what makes the SEC so fun, because of the fact that we have so many teams that are like so close on a week-to-week basis. And I mean, you can just catch the team at the wrong time, and all of a sudden you're staring down the barrel. Like it's hard for me. It's funny because we look back at 2025 and saying, you know, if you were going to tell Billy Napier at season's end that, hey man, you're going to lose to South Florida, but you're going to beat Texas at home. So I'm keeping my job, right? That's what we're saying. It's no, but you're still, yeah, but you're going to fall to LSU. Okay, maybe LSU is contender for a CFP. No,
they fired their coach.
Yeah, they fired their coach too. Say what now? And again, 2 years removed from beating Ole Miss in the swamp when Ole Miss had everything to play for. And it's so funny because, like, if you were to go back and tell Mark Stoops, like, hey man, you're gonna find a way to actually keep it close with Texas. Okay, so we're building things up in Kentucky, like we're getting there. But you're not gonna have a job at season's end. Like, wait a minute, hold on, you also win a football game scoring 10 points. Oh yeah, that means we hit them in the mouth. Well, they also fired their coach as well in Auburn. So it's so funny how the margins are so slim in the SEC, but that's what makes the conference so special, and also kind of demoralizing when you watch the Big Ten win the college football playoff 3 years in a row. It's, but we've got the better teams. Yeah, but do we have the better teams when it matters the most? 205-834-9450. Keep the conversation going. Your text message, your calls on the other side. Keep it locked right here on Mac and Cube.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, and three-man front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.
7:52 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian and John here with you. 205-834-9450. Your text message, your calls, always welcome here on the show. Tim from Coleman texts in and says, going back to Damian's hot takes, I got one for you. This is going to be hot. He says, Cam Ward will win the NFL MVP within the next 3 years, and I'm not even a Titans fan. But you know what, Tim? You know ball. You know ball. I'm right. Sign me up. If he wins MVP within the next 3 years, you know that means we're going to the Super Bowl.
Why is he still with the Titans? What if he had?
We're debunking that theory this year.
I'm just saying. What if he has another decent year this year? Next year it's not too bad, but
that means that third year.
Yeah. No, that third year it's not that bad either. But he's like, it's okay. But we kind of like the cut of so-and-so's Jim. We're going to draft him and trade him to the Jets, and then goes and becomes the NFL MVP.
I'll be sick. Like, I would be absolutely sick. Oh man. Hey, but the division is gettable, man. I mean, think about it. Houston Texans just paid Will Anderson. He's going to take a little bit of a step back because he got his money now. He's good. But, the Los Angeles Rams, they'll find a way within the next 3 years to, stockpile Ty Simpson with, who knows, Jamar Chase may mess around there and be in L.A.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and they'll find whatever potential defensive player of the year candidate is coming up in the next 3 years, they'll be out there in L.A. and Sean McVay will have 7 Super Bowls for you before you know it.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
Hear me out.
All right.
Jamar Chase leaves because they ain't going to pay him.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable. Okay, fine. What if somehow they trade with the Bengals, and I don't know, picks or whatever, but Joe Burrow for Cam Ward? Would you feel okay with that?
No. The only reason I say that is because I know Cam Ward is going to give me a full 17. Now, he got hurt this past year, but I don't think that's going to be a recurring thing. Okay. We're going to build up the offensive line and keep them upright. Mm-hmm. Because if Joe Burrow comes down, if he thought the offensive line was bad in Cincinnati right now, brother, don't step foot in Nashville, Tennessee.
But you just said they're going to build up the offensive line.
Nah, he'll be.
And
he's already booked it up.
The Bengals would much rather pay an inexpensive quarterback like Cam Ward than Joe Burrow and what he's worth.
We're not going to get damaged goods. We've already done that. His name was Ryan Tannehill.
Okay.
We've already seen
Didn't
this.
he win your last playoff game?
He did.
Okay.
He did.
Okay.
He also is the same reason we lost our last.
Okay.
Quarterbacks
tend to do that.
You ain't lying. Oh gosh. But I'm with you, Tim. Call it now. Cam Ward will be winning the MVP within the next 3 years. Let's go. Why not? Why would I box myself in saying that the Titans are going to the playoffs when Tim right here, who ain't even a Titans fan, I feel bad as a Titans fan that I didn't even believe that. But you know what? I'm locking it in. Cam Ward will win the MVP within the next 3 seasons as a Tennessee Titan.
Okay, there we go.
As a Tennessee Titan. We'll make sure I put that in there.
Okay,
He'll win one before that long-haired boy down there in Jacksonville, Florida. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, the standard's not – the bar ain't too high because it ain't like Trevor Lawrence out here dotting people up.
All right, so Super Bowl, let's see, it'll be in SoFi, then Mercedes-Benz, and most likely Nashville?
Yes, sir. So year 3.
Get year 4.
Dang, never mind. I was about to say, win a Super Bowl in your hometown and MVP. More Mac and Cube next.
This is McElroy and Cubelic in the morning.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Hey there, I'm Paula Pan. I help people make the smartest money decisions possible. If you don't control your money, it controls you.
Yeah, you're not in control of your finances and you have to look outside of yourself to live the life that you want. You're not in control of your life.
Like, what is it that you actually want? Money should follow the dreams and goals, because sometimes we make the dream and goal the money and you've overworked yourself and you've exceeded what you've needed for the actual thing you want. Sometimes we forget, like, what's the actual thing you want?
Afford anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform. Hey there, I'm Paula Pan. How do I save money? Most people give you the cliche answer, stop buying avocado toast. But they're missing the point. Saving tactics usually focus on discretionary spending. If you want to actually move the needle, you have to look at your fixed costs, your rent, your mortgage, your car payment. To change these, you might have to move or sell your car, and that's why people don't do it. If you want small wins, focus on the avocado toast. But if you want meaningful change, focus on the fixed costs. Afford anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
This isn't your average podcast.
We threw like a spontaneous party out of nowhere. It was crazy.
This is Full Send.
Drake weekend in Toronto. That's like, imagine telling me that like 10 years ago. That's yo, you're going to rip with Drake for his album launch release party in Toronto. Like, I'm not passing that up for anything.
Join the party.
She went to Met Gala. He went to the game.
What is the Met Gala? Ridiculous.
I think it's an excuse to dress up like an idiot and go to a ball.
The Full Send podcast.
Oh, we're ready.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.